what's up, guys? Welcome back to Grind Lifestyle Podcast. Today we've got Devour the Day. I've been a huge fan of these guys for a long time, so super stoked to have them on. They've got a new record coming out, some couple shows coming up with some of our buddies that are playing with them. Let's just jump into it, guys. We've got Scott Bartlett from Saving Abel here and Jesse Dugas, who is the mastermind behind everything that we do. Let's go.
What up, guys? How are you?
Excellent.
Good. We're good. We're so good. How are you?
New record. I mean, I know I'm the only guy here that's not in the music industry. Scott and Nik have kind of brought me in to do this stuff with the Grind Lifestyle.
Well, then you are now.
Yeah, definitely not my background, but it seems like it's still called a record. We have a new record coming out, but very little people actually still produce on a record. Is it just an industry thing to call it a record? Is that going to change?
It's just to make us sound smart.
Yeah, I think it's always been to add to the pretentiousness.
Yeah, we're not we don't like to be on the record of any, that's not our, but we like to make we make a record, like you can call a single song a record, like they spin the record. There's all these different uses of the word record, record. It's irony. Here, like my mind just exploded. I'm dead.
I think
for the record.
Yeah, I think
record. Why? No.
Mr. Bartlett, is that a new SBC hat I see?
Yeah, dude. I was gonna say, man, your guy, he freaking did it, dude. I was giving Bartlett shit too. I'm like, there's no way anybody on the planet's gonna be able to get you any hats done in like 5 days. And he's like, hold my beer.
Yeah, there's a guy at my local gas station who had Hawk Tua hats like the next day. I could hook you up.
That guy's gonna get sued now. That Hawk Tua girl's on her shit, dude. She's she's lawyered up. She got management. She's got an agent, a record deal.
Just needs dignity now.
Blew up too fast. It was too fast. Her rise to stardom was too fast. It's just she's gonna.
Mr. Bartlett, you do not look like you're home, sir.
I am in Biloxi, about an hour away from like Mandeville area, because that is where Paul McCoy lives, and we had to rehearse for this upcoming tour starting this week.
Paul McCoy from 12 Stones.
Paul McCoy from 12 Stones, the one and only, been a very, very long time friend of mine. And actually, Joey, I was going to tell you this. I'm sitting here learning the catalog. I mean, first of all, you all have known me forever. I'm a classically trained guy. Like I know my shit. But with Abel, we don't ever play in 6/8, which for you guys that's like a different terminology. It's like a waltz. It's counting in threes instead of fours, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And the whole catalog is like 6/8. And so I'm sitting there trying to wrap my head around how to not do the same octave runs because it's acoustic. And I'm like, how do I strum through and just keep it cohesive and then take off on lead breaks? And what am I going to do to wrap my head around all of it? And we're playing this one tune. And I'm like, who the hell is that on bass? And he was like, Joey? Well, I was like, Joey Chicago? And he was like, dude, do you all know each other? And I was like, come on, man. Memphis.
Yeah.
Like, he was like, oh, yeah. He's like, I spent so much time in Memphis. We had a long talk about both you and Blake. And you are loved and missed by many people, gentlemen.
Well, I first of all, I appreciate you saying that. We miss being in Memphis 90% of the time. And you know what I mean? You're from Memphis.
Tell us about that other
10% that knows what it's like. Come on now. That's a hardcore city. If you come out of Memphis, it gives you some grit. That's for sure. And even more importantly, I just love Paul. Paul was he was just always very kind. He's kind of like Blake. He's kind of like an anti-singer personality for a singer to have. There's no ego with that guy. He's just a very, very salt of the earth human being. So yeah, tell him I said what's up, because I love.
I will. He was talking, the whole just the Memphis thing. Like, you guys have it because you came up there. I was a transplant. I grew up in Baltimore and moved there in '96 to go to college. So I had to sort of immerse myself into it, and I became an honorary Memphian. But it was, man, first guitar player I saw in Memphis was Kirk Smithhart. And then I saw Eric Gales.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm in the wrong business. I guess I got
yeah, Eric Gales, man, what an incredible player. I mean, you are too, though.
Yeah,
don't lie. We used to see
you. You were one of the first ones that we were sneaking into bars to watch you play when we were like 19 and 20.
For sure, and not to drink, but just to see you play.
Man, that's Memphis is so like, you just think about who's come out of there, like you all with all your successes. We had like Saliva. Like I really miss Wayne. Wayne was one of my favorite guitar players. Freaking, Zach is killing it with Shinedown. Elliot Ives, like my best friend in the world, killing it with Justin Timberlake. We're all over the place, man. Like there's just something in that Memphis water.
Well, I think that's why I really like seeing success with Sleep Theory too, just because that's the same group of guys really that are a part of like nurturing that team as well. And Dave Cowell and some of those, that's all old school Memphis. And something that happens when you see someone from Memphis succeed, if you're from there, you just like, I know how hard it was for them to get out of there.
Yeah. That grind.
Yeah.
It's that
and
grind.
So I really do.
For real. That's Memphis.
I know.
It's like you learn to hustle, and everything's a hustle, and you're always looking for an angle on it, on everything. And you're gonna have to grind it out harder than, and I'm sorry to keep using the word grind. I realize that that it's not on purpose, but it's true. They, grit, grind. That's Memphis. And
it is.
I had no idea that Nik Martin was from Memphis.
Right. I know. No, do you guys have like notice though, like in Grants Pass, it's kind of the same thing. Like it's super hard to become something in such a small town. And then like when you hit a certain level of like either social media following, people in different realms kind of blackball you basically. I don't know if you guys go through that kind of stuff in Memphis where
the local envy here is insane.
Envy, jealousy, the local media here is kind of like they don't understand working together. We're stronger together. They don't understand that concept of stuff where it's like, we can help each other benefit moving forward, making bigger things happen. And like around here, it's just nope. You hit a certain level on social media, fuck you, you're done. Get out of my office.
Well, everybody, I mean, I think it's more of an industry thing. I mean, Nick's absolutely right. Grants Pass is rough, but from what I'm seeing is it's becoming the industry standard to where people just don't want to work together, right? They want the credit, they want the notch or the feather in the cap to say, hey, I did this, instead of, hey, look what we can all do together collectively. It's a fuck you, I'm going to do it on my own because then I get the credit and I get to pay for it. It's
also with just like social everything being as exponentially fast as it is. It used to be, if you really wanted to hate on somebody, you had to try. You had to like jump into the gossip thing and like really work your angles and literally go out of your way to hate on somebody, which is something hopefully we've all strived to not be. But now it's like you could just, oh, this person sucks. And then if if you're famous on some platform, you can really throw a wrench in somebody's operation for a minute. I mean, I've seen it happen countless times. It is so much strong. It's so cliche, but we're all stronger together, man.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. I think, I don't know, throughout my entire career, for whatever that is, I have stayed connected to the people that I felt were real. Even, I developed relationships, I feel like, that are kind of like Scott's and I. It could be as long as it's been, we haven't seen each other, but we have such fond memories of treating each other well as human beings. That transcends all of it. I think too, a lot of that just comes from insecurity. I mean, I don't think anybody's success really affects yours. That seems kind of ridiculous to me.
Well, and you're seeing it a lot now with like the people that are trying to break through that ceiling that they've hit, and they've watched, and people for the most part are somewhat intelligent. And so monitoring the way that I do, it's what I do for a living. So monitoring what I do, seeing a lot of up and coming bands that are creating controversy themselves off of their own fake profiles. Cool. So seriously, they create a fake profile. They go comment on one of their posts to try to stir the pot and capture and put them into a light that they wouldn't necessarily be in. A, because they don't know the right way to do it, or B, because it's quick and immediate, like Scott was saying, right? It's absolutely immediate. And so it is happening.
Yeah, but
so much right now.
To me, I just there have been elements of how to sell yourself or market yourself that I have skipped caring about all the way through this thing, knowing that it might hold me back or cause us to have a longer path. But I would rather spend that 5 minutes trying to write a song. I mean, that's what we got into this and why we to create something that's like, connect with other people and create some kind of hope or something that people can relate to. And so when that's your driving meter, that's this kind of algorithmic based decision making, I think you're going to have a separation of people that just will do anything, and there always have been people who will do anything, and then you have people that have a certain standard as to how they're going to create, and they won't break that. So,
well, I've personally had a field day watching both of you all like grow and prosper. I mean, it's been what, over 20, 25 years maybe since we met. I mean, and just watching you all like through the socials, I'm like, dude, that's my boy Joey. Look at that. Look what he's doing. Like, look at Blake. When you all came out with Devour, I was just like, I heard the record before Skid got his hands on it. And I was just like, man, I don't know. And I know we're not supposed to cuss too much, but I remember thinking, I don't know if I want to fight or fuck, but I know I.
I'm glad that it was both.
That's a good feeling. Yeah. Maybe not at the same time, but
yeah.
I don't know. Bartlett's a weird animal, dude. Like, I've heard some crazy stories fighting and fucking at the same time. Might not be out of the realm of possibilities there.
That's another podcast.
Oh boy,
I don't doubt it. Hey, there's real rock and rollers, and then there's the rest of us. That's just how it is.
We were this close to being on Apple, gentlemen. That close.
You just have to put the parental advisory sticker. It's all right.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hey, let's talk a little bit about like the whole Bryan thing. Like, I know you all are probably burnt on telling the stories because I've done the radio thing where you have to walk through. Oh, this is what happened. Give us the cliff notes on like what has led you from like the very like let's talk Egypt Central to present, and give the cliff notes and plug everything you want along the way.
Okay, I think I'll give it my best whirl.
This is his expertise.
So Blake and I, we met when we both were just getting out of high school, around 18, 19 years old. I used to have this crazy party apartment, and he was the only person that I ever met the whole time that helped me clean up after the party. And I was like, oh man, you're a good fucking dude.
I felt guilty for bringing all my friends over there and watching them just destroy the place.
Do mushrooms.
All my Christian Brothers boys will just go to the next party. I'll stay and clean this up.
So
Christian Brothers is a high school in Memphis. So it's not it's not like what I call my best friend. You know,
my right wing bro. So anyway, so our friendship started in this kind of very real, like just being genuine to each other, and I think that has been there all the way through. So just to say that, but we played in cover bands early on, like we tried to. We played at this place called Luke's Tavern that used to be the only place you could get in underage, and we could play. And I mean, it was a crazy place. Blake,
the Bel-Air,
like beer bottles flying by Blake's head, that kind of stuff. And at that place, we met a couple of the members that would end up being in Egypt Central, which was a street named.
Hey guys, do you mind if I pause 1 second?
No.
We have another host joining the podcast. All right, and just like that, we have our missing man, Bryan Hopkins, in the house. What up, Bryan? How are you, buddy?
How you doing? Good morning, guys. This is morning for me. The other musicians in here understand.
I've been up since 5, so this is late afternoon for me. How are you, buddy? Miss you.
I miss you guys too.
All right, guys, where were we before Bryan hopped in the call? I know that we were talking a little bit as Bryan was connecting. Do you guys have any questions for Bryan about his Saved by the Bell time? Perhaps the kids, something we want to get on the record there?
he did answer some important ones, like was there a follow-up date? Finding out about the chaperone, having to navigate that. But
yeah, it was crazy. Really just, it was crazy.
It's an honor to be on the same podcast, and
yeah, that's funny.
I think I'm definitely making a shirt for you now, though. I literally kiss Kelly Kapowski, but you're the only person that can have that. So,
well, me and Zach Morris.
Yes. Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah. What's funny is the following week, Patrick Muldoon, who's a buddy of mine, Patrick ended up being on like a 3-part or 4-part episode where he dates her. He's the manager.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he ends up dating her. And it's funny because I read for both parts. And so did he. We're standing in the room and they actually said, you're this guy, you look like the college guy, you look like the hooligan. And so I was like, okay, great. I'm the babyface hooligan. Yeah. That's how they put it too. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think Joey was talking about the origin of the relationship that you all have together and working in Memphis and Egypt Central, Devour, to Poppy, but to all things. And I said, hit on the important moments because we don't want to be that cliche interview that you tell your story and you tell it your way.
Yeah, I think
I'll be here to fact check.
He has a better memory. So I'll try to do like the biggest chunk moments for us. When we were not even 21, we got in a band local to Memphis and started a band with a couple of guys called Egypt Central.
That's true.
One of the first calls that we got about that was that the singer, who, if you know him, John Falls, is just a very charismatic guy. He said, hey, Josie Scott from Saliva is sleeping on our couch. He told me I'm a great singer. If you come down here from Chicago, we have a record deal in the bag. That wasn't true.
Yeah, that is false.
But that is the reason why I came back to Memphis after we had met. And so we started this band. We really liked some of the riffs and stuff that had been going on. We were, really kind of fully involved in the Memphis music scene, and then ended up getting noticed by a guy named Andy Shane over at Lava Atlantic, and got a really, really pretty big record deal after our 8th or 9th show, which is just a super unrealistic picture of the music industry. The only band I've ever seen kind of go blow up faster would be Scott's band, to be honest. Like that Saving Abel also had that same kind of like what felt like overnight trajectory to go from, starting a band and then already on tour and stuff. So Egypt Central had a really good run of it. We had some songs that did really well. We have a song called White Rabbit that we wrote, has 120 million streams now. Wow. And it's just been a really, really cool part of our lives. Has been just a big song that was really, ironically, the first Devour the Day song, because Blake and I had written that song with Skid, and John was out of town. And so Blake had been singing on everything, but that was the first time he sang a full song. So I actually heard Devour the Day for the first time when we wrote White Rabbit, which is a weird thing. So fast forward, John ends up leaving the band when that song went to radio. So it's like literally the worst time he ever could have left the band. He just ghosted us. It was January, song went to radio in February, and he moved to Miami, and literally we could not get him on the phone. He just ghosted us after 10 years of a career. And Blake and I, who had been writing, I would say 99% of the songs, at that point, the guitar players were writing riffs and stuff, but I think finalizing the concepts, finalizing the arrangements. Blake's an excellent engineer, and even at that point had already started noodling with it quite a bit and was creating all our songs. And in that moment, we just were like, we don't want to quit. We don't want to stop. We started writing almost immediately and wrote a song called Good Man within those first sessions. That ended up being our first top 10 single we had ever had, was with the new band, Good Man. So it was very very vindicating, but also, to be honest, a completely unrealistic portrait of the music industry. So like it felt like anything we were doing would work. And then over the course of the next few years, we really went through some of the hardest industry-based, I would say, failures. That's what I call, but they really have become lessons. But we had a Universal Publishing deal, which was great at first. We were writing with all these people across the room from Kanye West, all this kind of stuff. And then it's the worst contract to try to get out of ever. Took us years to get out of that contract. We got signed to Razor and Tie in the middle of our second record. Razor and Tie was absorbed by Fearless. Fearless basically viewed us as a tax write-off. I don't feel bad about it, guys. Sorry you did. And didn't put any money into us. Blake and I put together this documentary series called Soundtrack to Your Story. We raised $70,000 to go across the country to do free shows for people, and all outside of Fearless, and they gave us $1,500 for the project. That's a good idea of what it was like. So
that like 2016-ish.
Yes. And then that's like actually 2017 or so. And then a band called Skillet really on a touring side took Blake and I under their wing, and we toured all over the world with Skillet for like almost 2 years. Like we connected with their crew like on a really deep level, some of our best friends in the industry. Love the band as well, but just furthering our education of the behind the scenes. And I think when the pandemic hit and it became time for another record, we just asked Fearless, we told Fearless, keep our record, whatever you want to do. We just want to be out. We just want to own ourselves from now on. And then literally months after we got back from Europe on that 2019, 2020 is when the pandemic hit. And so in between that time and now, right after the pandemic, the bass player for Pop Evil left, and they invited me to join that band. And so I did. And that was really hard to navigate, me being in Pop Evil and trying to make the beginnings of Devour the Day work. Blake was also working with tons of bands behind the scenes in the live realm, and just super busy that way. But just even with Pop Evil, there was something about Devour the Day is just holistically our baby. It's I would consider our deepest passion project and the thing that relates to our lives most personally. And so we started to work on new music. In the midst of writing and releasing the brand new Devour the Day over the course of the last year, Pop Evil asked Blake to sit in on drums. I knew they were going to love him. Now he's in Pop Evil too. And that's actually been an incredible thing because we've been able to really navigate going back and forth between the two bands because we're on the same schedule again, which has been huge, actually. And so over the course of the last year, we're both in Pop Evil, and we've been releasing on our project Devour the Day, which Egypt Central and Devour the Day are under our label, A Window in Records, that we started.
Yes.
We should add in that we wrote and recorded and distributed an EP from Egypt Central.
Yes.
Over the pandemic and into the
Yeah, no, it's super important to mention that.
2022. That was
Fucked it. No, it is because, and I think that would go full circle into the label, and I'm trying not to yap too much, but the reason why, and those 120 million streams in the fan base, Egypt Central all the way through this from 2012 was steadily streaming at like 1 million listeners a month,
supported by a fan base that just didn't give up at all, and that is what makes it possible. You know, like if we didn't have support from them, we wouldn't have been able to fund a lot of the stuff that we
probably wouldn't even believe that anyone cared, to be honest. And having them kind of, continually showing that they wanted to hear more. And then as we were releasing New Egypt Central, people just loved that. We really created a world for Blake and I to take the power back. We interviewed a bunch of managers, didn't like any of them, so we just started managing ourselves and set our own label up. And we've surpassed 60 million streams in the last 4 years on our projects that are underneath our label. And we've got a brand new EP from Devour the Day coming this week. It's been a long, difficult road, and we've been offered a way out for it to be easier many, many times over the last couple of years. And I think we do sleep well at night because we do own ourselves. He doesn't.
No.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
But
that's a familiar story. You know, getting involved with these guys, with Bryan and with Scott and with Nik on the management side. The story that you guys are telling is a familiar one. Artists getting locked down into contracts that they can't get out of, not owning the rights to their own stuff, money missing, phone calls not being answered. Kudos to you guys.
No, we still, I mean, we released 2 records under Concord. That was the Fearless and Razor and Tides, now owned by Concord. And we still don't see money from royalties. And those records have streamed more than a lot of the stuff that we release independently. So we know how much these songs are making, and we're not getting calls back. We're not getting reports. We can't get.
Yeah, it sounds familiar, don't it?
Yeah.
It's not cool.
Crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I wasn't going to point to you, Scott, unless you were okay with it being public. But Nik and I are fighting heavily to get someone to answer a fucking phone so we can get Scott paid what he's owed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always nice to have people. I think what the full story here, which is great, is having people fighting for you, which you guys are doing as a solo artist and as a full member of Able. You know, but what gets me about your all's story is you found the writing partner and you guys did it all together. Like, I remember you getting the call for like the Pop Evil gig. And I'm thinking to myself, no, that's not going to be okay. What's Blake going to do? It was y'all are that team.
It really didn't even, there was maybe 2 days that we were actually separated because I arrived at Pop Evil. I looked at everything that they were doing for the live show, and I said, I mean, the one thing this band needs is my best friend Blake. And 2 days later, our Devour the Day sound man and Blake were out there rebuilding the entire system for Pop Evil as to how they run their show. And then he became a bit of a singer whisperer and went on to work with Lit and Papa Roach and all the other people. They just helping just build a bigger show and stuff like that. And so it was cool how that all worked out, but he got dragged right into it almost immediately.
Well, I watched it. I watched the production get infinitely better in a matter of months. Well, you got to remember, Pop Evil, dude, their first tour was with Saving Able. Yeah. Circa 2008. Like they had that first RV. I mean,
oh yeah.
I'm talking about not like before Chachi, like that guy.
Oh yeah. That's our first interaction with them as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And DJ Cowboy, was it?
Say what?
Cowboy, the DJ.
Oh yeah.
That's right. They had a DJ.
Yeah. Because he crushes it naturally.
He with his hat on, and he was like,
yeah.
Oh, there's a new sheriff in town, bitch.
Yeah.
I think. The thing is too is that Lee, like at Pop Evil, he really is a great businessman, and he's also just a very encouraging human being.
He's a driven person,
very driven guy, like one of the most driven people I've ever met. He works his ass off. I mean, like consistently working. He does. And I think it was his tenacity matched with mine was kind of something that we hadn't necessarily, I know he hadn't had yet. And then to have the balance, which both of us need, of a cooler head like Blake, where you have that back and forth. And so he was able to have that in Blake and I as well, and created a tripod of friendship that is built on 20 years of knowing this game we're all trying to play, and knowing like if we play together, there's some advantages there. And so it wasn't easy as you know, smashing two bands together or whatever, but I'm very excited about the future of what we're doing with Pop Evil. It's the new record's really, really good.
I can't wait.
Good for you guys. Good for you guys. That's awesome. I mean, sitting here listening to you guys, that was really inspiring. And I got to ask, like, when you say you stepped up the production of the Pop Evil show, like, what kind of stuff was it that you? Because it's like there are things I want to do, but you know, it's out of my realm. But to sit there and you're pointing over, going, he came in and just changed everything. What was that like?
So a big part of what I've done in the past as a drummer and as a singer, and with alongside this freight train of a human, because the ambition and drive behind this dude is like, it's propelling, and so we'll get in a room to get ready for a tour or something like that, and we'll start to choreograph everything, and not to a point where it's like every word is scripted or anything like that, but a general sense of how you want the show to go is a big piece of what makes it work. And so we just started to take everything that they were doing from start to finish and start to look at every moment before a song, at the end of a song, during the song. They have, especially Pop Evil has a lot of synthetic elements to their live set, but they don't have a synth player in the band, so they rely on backing tracks to bring the studio to the stage. And if you don't do that tastefully, you can really ruin a set. You can have synthesizers that are so loud and some that are huge parts of the songs, and you can't hear them, and because there's no guy to do that. And so Joey and I as a team have always we valued that in our live shows, from Egypt Central to Devour the Day, and it was something that Pop Evil was looking for, and they lost in their previous bass player. He was their tour guy. So we were able to take the pieces and just restructure them and bring out the elements that make them a great live band that they hadn't pulled forward yet. And
technology wise too, I think Blake consistently is keeping himself very aware of the newest and most modern elements that go into recording, and the way that transitions in every single instrument to how the drums are being performed or presented, and just looking at each way that they were, hey, this thing with 10,000 chords, maybe it's a bad idea or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
You got a USB dongle just.
But that's actually, and you know this too, Scott, and that like there are a lot of great bands out there running with like systems of how they do things that like we all had to kind of like figure it out, because this technology was just becoming a part of your show. This is not necessarily something that like it was taught anywhere. You know what I mean? It was almost like a word of mouth thing for when we were coming up. And so to be able to have kind of that collected knowledge and to share it.
Why does Nickelback sound so
exactly
good?
Like that? Exactly.
Why is it that you go watch these bands and it's just like everything is like Motley Crue? That is a band that in their prime, they sounded so good. Like the production was on point, and Viggy was their one of their production guys, and he actually trained us in Devour when we were getting ready for a tour with In This Moment.
Disturbed.
No, for Devour.
Oh yeah,
in this moment. And so we knew we were going into a high production tour, and we were like, okay, we can't just show up with our instruments and expect to compete. So we wanted to figure out how to take, especially a song. I think that Good Man is probably the most obvious. We
don't have a full orchestra,
right? Trial by Fire, because we had to present that song in the way that it was recorded, and like you said, like there's all these there's organs and strings and these massive Chinese drum sounding things, and there's just all this cool stuff that's going on. And how are we gonna portray that the way that we wanted to? Because we could just go out and figure out how to play it on our instruments and go out there and do that, and that would be rock and roll and fun and good. But we were just really excited about the idea of having that sound happen over the PA and then go into the song, and it turns into this massive rock band, and making that dynamic work rather than just playing it on an iPod.
So it's actually really cool that you guys are like bringing this up, because bands like I Prevail, they do that with like everything's computerized, and it's like they get so much shit of fuck you guys, you're not a real band. And it's like there's so much more work that goes into that though, that to make it sound right, to make it perfect, that it's not that they're half-assing it. They're, you know, trying to put on an awesome show and make it sound studio quality for the fans.
And be part of their sound.
There's also there's just a horrible generalization that's happened in this, where there's only the black and white of if you use a computer, you don't know how to play. I know the dudes in I Prevail, and they can outplay 9 out of 10 of the people talking shit. So all those dudes are beasts on their instrument. The dude can out-scream you. The dude can out-sing you. Like, all that hate is for people. For me, it's insecurity. Like I said, like if that's where you're at, you're just insecure, and that's you know, like that's fine if you want to waste your time on that. But the rest of us have to go plan for a show we're playing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like. So, yeah, I mean, it's weird how much this has been a huge topic between what feels like the old school rock and rollers and the new age kind of coming in. Blake and I just happen to live in the gray area of coming up in an old school way, getting super interested in a new school way of doing things, and then now being kind of ahead of our understanding because we were already into it 10 years ago. And being able to do that the right way. So there's real musicianship. I'm definitely playing my bass, dude. He's definitely singing it. But we are also in active rock. If you think we're going to bring a full orchestra and like, you know, a horn section for one pre-chorus or whatever, like, I'm sorry, we can't afford it. Yeah, I mean,
orchestra.
What are they even going to wear?
Thanks, guys.
So
you nailed your parts.
No, it's kind of cool too. I'm talking to the guys, the Hush Hush guys that are going with you on the 2 dates this month that you're playing with. They're kind of doing the same thing right now. They're in rehearsals, and I was talking to Dom, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, we got to set the computer up. We got to get all this stuff figured out." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? You're not just playing?" Like, so he explained everything you just explained. I'm like, "Oh, that's so fucking cool." Like, so there is a lot that goes into it. Where, you know, I was like the old school of, you know, that you guys get your instruments, you play your songs, and that's that. There's
well, it's funny too, because
so
most of the things that are being emulated are like just the real cab anyway. So if I'm using, like, I have a neural, which is like essentially a bass system where I can change the tones. It's an interface, but inside that interface is a Sansamp rack mount into a dark glass pedal through my compression, which is exactly what I ran. Except now I don't have all the noise that was happening because of the outside pedaling. And I think that people just don't understand that, like, it's not cheating. There's emulation happening. There's a progression. We're going from beating on war drums to recorded music to whatever's new and moving forward. To be stagnant would be so boring.
Well, you guys, you need to understand about those too. That is a rhythm section that has been together for what, 30 years? Literally
20. 30. Yeah, all right. We're not that old, man. We're not that old. Yeah. We've been a rhythm section longer than half of our lives. That is true.
Wow.
You put them on bass and drums, you've got magic. And then also you add the production elements, and it's something really special. I couldn't be happier for Better People, man.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, congratulations. That's amazing. And what people don't understand too is you're up there playing with tracks. There's no mistakes. You can't make any mistakes. You know, you're playing with the tracks, or the tracks are accompanying you. The tracks are like, that's one band member, you know, up there playing their parts. But there's no going off that unless somebody turns it off, and now we're moving forward. And so, Nik, yes, that's where it's at. You know, that's the new thing. And Scott and all of us here have been going through that progression and living in that. You know, there's certain shows where you're like, oh, we don't need them. Okay, now we're going out on this tour, and let's get the show ready. So we don't sound small, and everybody's just as happy, you know? Right. So that's really cool. You guys, this is really inspiring listening to you guys talk. and the friendship and bond that you guys had or have is inspiring. I can't wait to see what you guys do next, you know, and taking both bands to the next level, and to know that you're managing yourself, you have your own label. That's the dream. It's a hard thing to sit down with people and they tell you what you think you want to hear. You walk away and they just want to jump on your, you know, coattails, and you do the work. And it's like, I should be managing myself anyway. Yeah, so it's cool that you guys are doing that.
That's the hard part about this is being the label and cracking the whip on us as creatives ourselves, you know?
Yeah.
We really have to keep ourselves focused because, you know, we'll take all the time in the world to tweak a new song. But the label side of us is like, no, we got to have this thing done.
Oh, sometimes I hate the guy that has to put on the label hat. Yeah. And it's me.
Right? Yeah.
This guy is so full of shit.
He's just in it for the money.
He's raising kids or something. No,
yeah,
but,
you know.
But I think
timeline. This painting's not done.
I really do think though that like what has happened where an artist can be inspired to create and then can actually find a way to get that music out without so many gatekeepers. Like that did not exist when we started, and I would never want it to go back to the way it was. I mean, to think of to only going backward, that would not be what I would want. This freedom that's come from being able to decide when we want to put out a song, how we want to put out a song, who we want to work with, what our schedule looks like. We never had freedom like we had in the last 4 years. And I think over the next few years, the word independent or the idea of being indie will start to have less of a bad taste in people's mouth.
Yep.
But I also know that bad taste is created by a network of labels and people within the machine who don't want the system to change because they're making a bunch of money grabbing a young band who will sign over their life, drain them dry, and then just rinse and repeat. That's never going to stop until there is like a movement of independence. And so to say that it's inspiring or whatever, I just think that's awesome to hear because that really means that like each person, each young musician that might hear this story is going to go, you know what? They're not saying it's going to be easier, but they are saying it's possible. And I think that's pretty cool, to be honest.
I think that's kind of the big thing that we're pushing with our management company is stay independent. Like I've been doing like behind the scenes stuff for almost 25 years. I've had a band get signed to Tooth and Nail Records that got totally fucked over. And it's like, you know, it sounds cool getting that 6 figures up front, but it's like you look at the fine print, you got to pay it all back. They want you to do this. They want you to do that. You're signing away rights to your music. So we're pushing now, like with the Hush Hush guys, own everything. Produce it yourself if you can. Put it out yourself if you can. That kind of stuff. And saying, you know, use social media as much as possible. Don't push away from it. You use it as much as possible because it's the quickest way to get it out there.
If done right.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of it's cool to hear another band that gets that, and you know, and talking to people that understand social media is the way to go. Independence is the way to go. Don't look for the big labels. Don't be misled by industry standards because everything's changing on a daily basis. It seems like.
Well, solution based conversations. I mean, the thing I just don't like more than anything is someone in the room who just only has a way of defeating. The mentality is that it's so shitty how it is. Well, you got a solution? Or, you know, like, why aren't we having a solution-based conversation? If that isn't happening, it's kind of a waste of everybody's time. Yeah, because there are way more serious subject matters than how well your band is doing. You know, like people are dealing with underlying personal life stuff, and to pretend that like, you know, this is the end all of who you are. I think that's where it becomes pretty dangerous too. You know, like
right.
We got to hold on pretty loosely with this stuff because it is a rigged system. So.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Wow. So right, man. Absolutely. That's well said. And Jesse, what he said about the whole independent, the rinse and repeat stuff, that's a real dude. Like that was just that right there is inspiring too. So, you know, it's coming from guys that you're not just, you have been doing it on the highest level, like Scott. And it's inspiring for guys like me. You know, I'm dropping my independent album right now. I'm going solo this month. And so I'm stepping away from everything and going, okay, here's the album that I wrote during the pandemic and it's time to go. So you guys, thank you. So
what's crazy is it never gets framed like this, but he said it one time when we were early on in starting our label, is because there's this mentality for a lot of young artists that like they kind of tell you like it's all about the music. It's that one song, you know, any one song can do that for you. And that's going to be like, open the door to the life you always wanted. But that's just totally bullshit. It can be for a very random amount of people. But even then, I don't know, you know, the stories of what happened to people after their one hit wonder, who knows? But when he explained it to me, like, you know, essentially one song is one drop under the faucet. And we're going to build a label. We're going to set that vase that we have that is our label underneath that spout. And it's going to take a while for us to even notice anything is happening. But eventually, that's going to be a full of water, full of capacity vase, right? That's sitting in vase, or however you want to say it.
I didn't say vase. I said spittoon.
Spittoon, yeah. But each one drop at a time. And then what young artists just don't understand is that if you own that, like we own the Egypt Central and Devour the Day vases, slowly filling up with water. That is a something you can actually give to your kids. That's a funnel of money that can come in forever over the artwork that you did. And wow. I think I started to think of that. We started to develop this idea of no song left behind. And it was worth it to make single by single because you weren't forced into doing album tracks anymore. You could actually make sure that every song was right. No song left behind. And all these little phrases that we developed through, you know, getting a label together, that with each turn, it just felt better, honestly, to have that kind of ownership over it. And not everything works. No, that's for damn sure. But
you know what? It doesn't all work, but moving forward does.
Yeah.
When you're moving forward, you said something early on in this conversation. You said the mistakes you made. Oh, wait, the lessons that we learned. You said that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that is. You know, and so no song left behind, huge, because yeah, that might not have worked right there, but it still moved you forward. And there's still one more drop in that spittoon.
Yeah.
That's still filling up. You know what I'm saying? So that's all of that makes total sense and is very inspiring. And, you know, to sit here and listen to you guys talk, I hope that everybody out there listening is getting just as inspired, just as moved, and knowing that either they can start today or they're in the middle of it, or they're towards the end and they can adapt and adjust and start over, whatever that is.
And it's always inspiring when you see someone successful that bet on themselves.
Yes.
Right. Because you cashed in, you put all the chips in the middle of the table and said, we're going with us. And if we lose, we fucking lose. But if we win, we win.
Yeah.
That's, man.
I appreciate you saying that.
We always said that if we were going to lose, it better be on our terms.
That's a great way of looking at it. So
yeah,
I think too, if you're an artist, you kind of always feel like you haven't made it or you aren't good enough or something. So it's like, if you kind of just accept that we all feel like that, you can get past it and just get back to work. Just show up at the desk, you know?
All right, guys. Well, I know everybody's busy, but before we get out of here, you did mention that your new EP comes out this week. Where would you like people to go to purchase, download, stream? Where would you like your fans to find your music?
They can go to their favorite streaming platform and get a hold of it. But we are also right now doing CDs just at a couple of shows that we're playing. We're playing in Joliet on the 17th, and we're playing in Fort Wayne on the 18th on our way to Incarceration, where we're like second or third on the main stage, which is a nice little comeback at the old Shawshank prison. So that'll be our first festival back in a few years. And
which is ironic, I guess. It's irony. I don't know.
Yeah, it is.
But our first record as Devour was called Time and Pressure. And I think while we were writing that record, like TMC or the AMC or whatever, but some network was running Shawshank over and over and over and over again. So we were just watching it and pulling inspiration, because that was such a great way to relate to where we were at the time with a band that just
in a river of shit
failed. And this was like, I mean, we were doing so great, and then it was just like we could not go on without the singer. We didn't want to change it. We didn't, so we just started writing, and it was like, how are we going to rebuild a fan base? How are we going to write all these songs? How are we going to reestablish, how are we going to present this to the people that have been listening to us for this long and give them something different? And it was like every little tiny chip at the wall, no matter how big or small it was, dumping those pebbles out in the yard just to make a hole big enough to fit through to get out of that prison. It was time and pressure.
Yeah, so life just breaks down to time and pressure.
Right.
So to be playing Incarceration feels full circle.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'd get that.
But we have CDs at those shows that are only available at those shows. They're really, really cool.
You said Fort Wayne. Is that at Pierre's?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna be playing
Fort Wayne.
This.
Fair that
Probably been a while since you've seen an old-fashioned seat.
man.
I was getting ready
A
to
couple
ask.
of assholes here on the back. There you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
There aren't actual apps.
So what do you do? And this hopefully doesn't go in a negative direction, but what do you do for all those people that don't either know how to use a CD or don't have a way of playing one? Because that is a problem now.
We're gonna pray for them.
No, honestly, I don't think people are buying CDs again because they're listening to it that way.
They just want something, man.
They just want something physical. And we did put the time to put artwork in here, and the CD is designed in a really cool way. And like, it's a part of that visual element that I think even why vinyl is, has over 1 billion sales over the last 3 years or something.
So I'm going to release an idea. I'm going to release an idea right now. And then if Nick and Brian and Scott, or you guys want me to edit this section out because you want to run with it, that's absolutely fine. But I was sitting here thinking about the fact that Scott's getting ready to go on tour with Paul from 12 Stones here this week, right? Like 4 days.
Thursday.
And I'm going, man, the old school. I went with Brian. He had me come down to Vegas for one of his shows a little over a year ago, and my wife got a CD for Brian, and it was great. And same thing, that CD is sitting on her little shelf in our bedroom right now next to a poster that Brian had signed. Never been played, but it's sitting there, and it's memorabilia. And I started thinking, what about a CD case with a slim USB drive full of music on it?
Well, or the USB is a wristband that has your name on it.
I like this. The reason I like the CD case idea is because you could still do the artwork. You could still do the artwork. You could still do the media list. But
the label guy had me as like, what is the cost of the product that holds the USB in the middle? Does that have to be a developed plastic to hold that? The USB would have to be thin enough, which would mean you'd have to buy a very specific USB.
They make those. They're like,
the little flat ones.
Stick it right in there.
Yeah, it would be production costs would be my first.
Yeah. So he's got the label hat on. Yeah.
I love this. This is what I have to work with. You can call it a label hat, or you can call it a dad hat. But
we're not going to edit this out. So
my kids are going on vacation or not? How much of the USB?
You could get slim USBs, both. Pretty cheap.
What I really like is the idea that we would be able to incorporate digital music into a physical product. And I think where you're headed in that way, like even the wristbands, a really, really good idea. And I've seen people try to do that. I think what's kind of the anomaly in the situation, though, is that people just like having the old-fashioned thing.
Yeah,
So they don't use it. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
agree. Yes.
it's just that's what it's just. It's like,
Of course.
I don't know, if a rerun of Saved by the Bell comes on,
had to circle all the way back.
just get to
See, I got
relive
a
it.
big collection of them that I just have my homie sign. So it's kind of, I don't ever listen to them. They sign them, they sit in a room, and that's about it. So
I did notice you're a shoe guy. You got some
Yes.
ones. You got some
I got
three.
the ones,
What do you got
the
back there?
threes,
Yeah.
ones, little weird ones that I don't like in the middle. The
there
tie-dyed
it is.
ones on the bottom that are super dope.
You were hiding the goods back there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Environment
My
pack.
baby's got some ones. So
Love that. Yeah, I do. I do love
yeah.
some sneakers. I do some custom
Ninja
stuff
Turtles.
too. So
Yeah.
I'll have to maybe send you guys something.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I haven't got one, and you just passing them out over here.
Yeah. That's what
I can
happens
give- I
when
can
you're
give
a
you a
best
good
friend.
deal.
Yeah.
Hey, just so you guys know, you can get a pack of slim USB drives, decent quality, for about 30 cents a drive. I don't know what a CD costs.
Mind blown. I think
It's
this.
not that blown. Here, I'll tell you exactly.
Oh, he's gonna bring out the calculator.
Wheels are turning.
Yeah. Well,
So where are you playing at in Joliet?
Julia, we're playing at the Forge.
Forge.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm gonna give a
Hey, one
shameless
of-
plug to our band. Hush Hush is gonna be opening for you guys. So anybody watching, hopefully we drop this before the 12th. Go to the shows, support Hush Hush, support Devour the Day, buy merch. That way we get paid.
We're gonna be hanging out at in the venue after the show. We're gonna make this really special. It's been a really a long time since we've done anything like this, so it means the world to us. So
I
Congratulations.
wish you guys were coming close. Last time I saw you guys was within this moment in Medford, Oregon. Long time ago.
I will say we have some big tours coming up. I can't announce anything, but we'll
Sweet.
be on tour. Devour will be on tour. Yeah.
I would just like to know one of those locations, is there going to be a bunch of neon lights, skyscrapers, blackjack tables, Nevada?
Oh, stop.
Vegas? Maybe.
probably
Yeah. That's become such a great rock market, Vegas.
Well, that's where Brian lives, and it's only an hour and 45-minute flight for me.
Yeah. We have a lot of friends who've chosen to make Vegas their new rock home.
Yeah, I was just hanging with the boys from Otherwise on 4th of July. The band
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise. Yeah, they just went full independent as well. Like left the label, left management, everything. They're fully independent now. And we had a little powwow like this, sitting around. So what,
Dude, I just watched their
What can
first
we do? What
podcast episode too. It was badass. I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'm jumping on their episode. I gotta record with them on Wednesday.
Nice.
I was supposed to be the first one, and I was going through some stuff. So I was like, hey, "You guys, let's wait."
Yeah.
They were my first as well. Yeah. Well, you tell them boys I say hello, please. I will. Yeah.
Great, guys. Well, we are at that mark. We're hitting that hour mark. We want to trim this thing up. Scott, Brian, Nick, any final questions?
No, that's
So if I can jump in, I just want to say thank you, guys, and thank you, Nick, for making me jump on this, waking me up, because this was inspiring. You guys, I just wish you nothing but the best, and keep grinding. I can't. If you come this way, I can't wait to shake your hand and say thank you.
Hey,
So it's cool. And thanks for the idea on the shirt. I kiss.
You're like, we've got to do it, dude. Somebody's got to have a shirt.
Brian, show us the new logo on the arm, buddy.
yeah.
Show us the new logo.
Yeah. Let's see if I got that.
BH.
Yeah. Whoops. Sorry. There it is.
Boy.
Oh, wow.
Tattoo. It's the new logo for my solo stuff. So yeah.
Right on.
Congratulations on your
Thanks,
release
man.
coming up and your adventure into full independence. We fully support.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that a lot.
I'll send you a bottle of melatonin.
Delete it. Because you'll just be laying there like, did I do the thing I was supposed to do? Absolutely. Love that voice. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. All right, guys. I've been doing that now.
Scott, anything for you?
Pardon?
Scott,
Anything to close us out?
No, just my old friends. Thank you. You're awesome as always.
I love you all. Yeah, we love you, buddy.
Hey, Scott hits the road this coming week. You can go to scottbartlettcreations.com to pick up your SBC merch, as well as find tour and date locations. Tickets coming soon. Make sure you go check out Devour the Day's social medias, as well as their website, their EP dropping this week. I am Jesse Dugas. That is Bryan Hopkins. That is Nik Martin. That is Scott Bartlett. And those two gentlemen are Devour the Day. Go check them out. Thanks again for subscribing and liking Bryan Lifestyle Podcast. Until next week, we're out.